I want to look back on the year that is ending with very intentional reflection, with the intention of clearing what it is that I don't want, of making sure that I'm leaving that year complete with the story that I want to tell about it.
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivitude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivitude.
Hello. This is Kate Phillips with Vivitude, and I want to welcome you to this special end of December show that is all about making room for the new. We are in this very special time between, for some, Christmas and New Year, or maybe depending on when you're watching this, it could be between New Year and going back to work in January, maybe between Hanukkah and the New Year for you. And what I love to do during this time before I get to setting new goals or intentions or making any resolutions for the new year, I love to complete the past. What the heck do I mean by that? And why would that be important? What I have discovered, and I've been kind of an intention setting, goal setting nut for, oh gosh, more than 2 decades. It's something I absolutely love to do, especially during this magical time, after I've celebrated Christmas. Before I make those plans, set the goals, write out my intentions, I want to look back on the year that is ending with very intentional reflection, with the intention of clearing what it is that I don't want, of making sure that I'm leaving that year complete with the story that I want to tell about it. So I actually have an intention setting guide, and I'll make sure that you have an opportunity to download that if you want it. And in this intention setting guide, it's really some journaling prompts, and it also gives you the steps you would need to take if you want to do an intention setting retreat. And I divide it up into two parts because we want to complete before we build. And if we don't complete, what ends up happening is we are setting the new goals and the intentions and making plans, but we're building on a foundation that might include regrets, that might include disempowerment, we might be thinking, oh gosh, there's some things that I failed at, that the end of the year is also the time that we look back on what were the goals that I set at the beginning of this year, and did I fulfill them all? And for most people, like some of them probably hit the mark on some of them, probably didn't hit the mark on some of them. I know a lot of our listeners are caregivers involved in maybe some complicated, perhaps time-consuming, even capital-intensive pursuits with our families that may have disrupted our own plans for the year. So it's extra important for us to complete the past, to acknowledge what did we accomplish, what didn't we accomplish, what was left undone, what do we want to acknowledge ourselves for, even in the midst of challenges. There's often a lot to celebrate and to acknowledge ourselves for. We also, one of my favorite questions that's in my intention setting guide is, what do I never want to forget about this year that is coming to an end? And this isn't necessarily the accomplishments. It's not necessarily the goals that I knocked out of the park, but oftentimes it has to do with those quiet little moments, with the time I met with a friend I hadn't seen in years for coffee and we caught up. It's those special times that we have with family. It may be something related to, perhaps I know I'm the financial and occupational person. It may have something to do with the wins that we had at work or in our business, or the financial goal that we finally reached. But it's just as important to be acknowledging and completing when things don't go the way that we hoped. And there was one year that in December, I became really present to the goals that I hadn't hit, to the things that I had not accomplished. And I started to form a story around that year of how hard it was. Or, I was focusing on the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be, instead of focusing on what Dan Sullivan would call the gains that I had already made, even just that year between where I started and where I was now. And so I was really present to this disappointment that I had with myself. And I sat down with my journaling guide, with my intention setting guide, and started going through the questions. And an hour later, I was like a new human. I was so present to the gifts of the year, to all of the things that had been accomplished, all of the things that I had accomplished that maybe I hadn't seen the harvest yet. But I was planting the seeds, I was watering the seeds, I was growing so much good that was yet to be realized in the form of the harvest, but it was on the way. And I was so proud of myself, of how I had navigated some of the interruptions and the disruptions and the challenges that the year had thrown at me. So before you take time to set goals and intentions, take time to complete the past. Take time to tell the story that you want to tell about the past. Take time for conscious completion. So instead of building on a foundation of disappointment, unfinished business, unfinished dreams, uncelebrated wins, energy leaks, and not enoughness, you are building on gratitude. You're building on completion, on a foundation of completion, even if the completion is to say, I didn't I didn't do the things that I set out to accomplish, and I'm good with that. I am complete with that. So that's what I invite you into this time of year. Please do download, you'll find in the show notes, my gift of the intention setting guide. It's something you can do by yourself or with others. I've done intention setting for more than 20 years, and for many years by myself, and in more recent years with others, in person and online. I encourage you to make this a part of your annual ritual so that you are getting yourself off to the best start possible for the new year. Thanks so much for being with us here with Vivitude. If you have not yet subscribed yet, please do so. And we look forward to being with you to inspire you in the new year.
And thanks for listening to Vivitude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter, because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivitude.